Mina, welcome back.
Hey, Nan, thank you for having me again.
My pleasure. I am so excited to talk about this new album. Thank you so much for letting me review it and letting me get the early listen.
Yeah.
I was super excited for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so tell people what's the new album called? When does it come
It's
out?
yeah, it's called In Chains and Shadows and it's coming out in April 24 in all streaming platforms, also CD, and the vinyl is going to arrive later because production times take longer. But yeah, you can pre-order everything.
Yes, I have pre-ordered mine, and I think I ordered the gold album.
Yes, you ordered the super fancy gold one, yeah.
Yeah, when you posted that it was selling out, I was like, well, we can't have that.
Yeah,
So,
it was insane. With the now it's like a bit calm down, in the day in between. But the first days of the announcement of the album, there's three colors for the vinyl: black, which is the regular one, gold and blue. And the gold and blue, well, it's been selling well, but the gold and blue is like shit. I'm running out of copies already.
I love
Like fifty
that.
percent were quickly sold out, and it's like okay, okay. Now it's more relaxed, but please let's work so everything is sold out before the release date.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's so exciting. Well, to all the people waiting for their vinyl, I can attest that you are going to get a real treat when that arrives. So, right now, for people curious to hear the sound on the new album, uh, Tyrant Spell and Realm of the Damned are on Spotify and the other streaming
Yeah,
platforms.
they can also listen to the title track in Chains and Shadows. But recently, I did a lyric video for Tyrant Spell. They were available when I announced the pre-order for the album, but I wanted to do something special, so I did the lyric video version, and it's also on Spotify. So yeah, there's some treats here and there.
Yeah, so you guys can get a sample. So, I want to talk about every song on the
Yeah.
album. But I do have some like overall remarks. I would say that this album has a kind of colonial march, kind of age of sail rhythm throughout the album. However, it's got your special distinctive timbre. And since you're originally from Spain and now live in Sweden, it also has a Moorish scale in almost every trill that you sing. And I
Okay.
think that's really interesting to like sort of notice in there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, yeah, like
It's nice to see how things are seen from the outside because these are things that I don't think much about. So yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. Like
Uh-huh.
you're gonna have that natural like Lydian or Spanish gypsy kind of scale just because that's like, what's around you. Americans who hear this album will relate to it. Um, they're going to hear that Age of Sail rhythm as a Revolutionary War sound,
Hmm.
sort of like drum and fife rhythm
Yeah,
to it.
I
So,
have a lot of influences and it comes from medieval tunes, original medieval tunes and music inspired in that type of era, let's say. But yeah, the folklore and from here and there, and it's true that there's some. I will not say gypsy. Everything comes from that, but no. But
mhm.
there's specific Spanish type of folklore
Mm.
in just a tiny branch of that folklore. I've been taking a bit of things, especially on Titan Spell and Fool. Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, there's some
Oh,
little things on the vocals here and there.
okay. Okay,
Mhm.
well, I might make you spill the beans on them. So okay, I guess just to start, for you, ideally, when people listen to this album, how would you ideally have them enjoy it? Like, is this do you want people to be like driving on the highway? Are they at the skate park with the headphones on? Are they at a party with their friends listening together? Or is it just like sitting still?
Definitely not on a car driving on the highway because they will get detention, probably. There was a guy reacting to our latest single, and his reaction was amazing because he was like, all the time, and he's like, not on a car, not on a car. That will be dangerous. But I guess the best combination will be with a meeting of friends, of metal friends,
Okay, cool.
and let's get ready for this, and then let the spirit go.
Oh my gosh. All right, awesome. Yeah, at home with your friends, listening to the album. I love it. Okay, and then there throughout the album, there's a huge variety in themes to
Mhm.
the lyrics, or at least I think it's pretty
Yeah.
well varied. And I was wondering, is there any attitude underneath all the themes that you might be expressing?
What do you mean attitude? I have a lot of attitude.
Well,
So, depending what you mean, because
um, like I would say, like if we were listening to Evanescence's debut album, their
okay.
attitude in the album is a little bit forlorn. They're sort of yearning. I
Hmm.
wouldn't call this album forlorn or yearning, for example.
Okay, I
Maybe a
honestly
mood.
don't plan about my lyrics. It comes naturally, and every song calls for a certain topic in my mind when I'm writing the music. It's like, okay, this song about this or whatever. Sometimes I surprise myself. So, but there's no intention like want to do this album moody or aggressive. No, it comes this way.
Hmm.
And there is, like you say, a lot of variety on the lyrics. I'm always very how do I say it? I'm very ironic and direct with my things and bluntly, and I have a very personal type of humor that I like to implement, and I like a bit of complicated narrations, but in a simple way for humans to understand, or I hope so. And I like different things, so I put them in a bag, and that's what it comes.
Okay, so it's just like pure Mina energy, and I love that.
Yeah, I will say so.
It's got I like the attitude in it, you know? It's not apologetic.
No,
It's
I mean,
full of fire.
I try to make everything my own, and sometimes I treat themes that are very common, like every band, because you know the themes are not endless. But I
Mhm.
try to do it from my perspective and
Hmm.
to make it like cohesive and make it sense on what I'm offering on my
Yeah,
mind. Yeah.
absolutely. I do think that it's got a cohesive attitude to it, and it's also it's like another person could also write about, for example, tyrant spell. They could write a
Yeah.
song about a tyrant spell, but there's like so many perspectives to take. So it's
Hmm.
interesting um just to like have a consistent perspective through the songs. Um and I also wanted to ask you before we get into each of these songs, how have responses to the Cramp era songs influenced what you've done with the Bronze era songs?
Oh, the thing is that many of the songs of the album I was already working even before Gods of Death was released. So that is something that many people will not have in mind because of the change of name and everything. But for
Hmm.
example, Realm of the Dam, I started working on that song in 10 years ago because I was living in a particular neighborhood of Madrid, and it was 2014, way before Gods of Death was even able to be made, and even the EP. So
Hmm.
that's insane. Tale of Revenge, for example, was the first song ever that I wrote for this project, and I was 18, so that's long time ago.
Oh, so it's very pure.
Yeah.
I'm
So
okay. I'm excited to hear you talk about the themes in Realm of the Damned because I did read your interview where
yeah.
where you were writing about it, but I think it's going to
Epic
be
metal lore.
very
Yeah.
fun to
Yeah.
hear you speak about it.
Yeah, that you know, because that song was called no, it had another title. I'm awful with the titles usually. I'm getting better, and it was a very unfinished song. But even if sometimes I get inspired by personal stories or reflections or whatever because we are artists. Sometimes it has nothing to do with my life, but I always try to put it in a perspective of storytelling because I consider myself a storyteller or
Hmm.
a bard or whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
So the epic theme that some people try to see on my lyrics sometimes it's just a camouflage, like Leather Warrior on the previous album is about bullying because I was severely bullied. And people are
Oh.
like, oh, mighty warriors and stuff like that. It's like, no,
Oh.
you're not getting the song. But, you
Mm.
know, so it's another type of narration. And yeah, there's the songs for this album. There's a mix of work. I when I plan a release, I don't think like, oh, I need to make 10 songs now
Hmm.
and put them in a box and that's it. they come when they come, and sometimes as artists, you know it well, sometimes we get inspiration in one moment, and that particular piece doesn't belong in what we are going to offer to the world, and it rests on a drawer forever, and then it's like, oh, now the final piece of the puzzle. So there's a lot of songs that are old, some songs that have recovered a new life, and some songs that are new. So it's me through the ages, I
Oh
would
my
say.
gosh, cool. It is the Bronze Age.
Yeah.
Um, so, um, is there any feeling that you'd like the audience to have, um, like, or take away from listening to the album?
Yes, yes, very much. When I think about heavy metal is pure energy. I
Hmm.
don't like people like sitting like that, or
Hmm.
not feeling the music, not moving on concerts. I will love that when they are listening to my music, they feel like, I need to move now. I need to do things. I need to go on with my life. I need to, inspire. I don't care if it's rage, if it's positivity. I don't care what it is, but some energy put in their
Hmm.
asses. That's what I am for. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very energetic music and it does make me want to move and I really like skating to it. And especially
Oh,
because like I've said before, you have superior rhythm. You do a lot of play with like when and where you sing the notes and where you collect them and where it's more legato and staccato. It's really
mhm.
um something that I hope a lot of metal vocalists will listen to this album and take a couple lessons from.
That's an honor. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, I totally mean it. You're definitely in my very like top tier
Oh,
personal preferences for
thank you so
like
much.
vocal performances. Yeah. And
That's
okay, so are there any elements from this album that you discovered while putting it together that you might like to take into your future work?
Yeah, yeah. I've talked a lot with Seth about this. Uh, I always, because for example, Tyrant Spell is a song that was not supposed to be for this project.
Mhm.
Back in, I think it was 2022, I was watching the streaming for Iron Fate from Germany, to Keep It True, and they put a fantastic album that
Hmm.
was called the Crimson Messiah, I think it was, and it was very obvious influenced by Crimson Glory, and they used power metal sound,
Mhm.
a particular branch of that US power metal sound, which is something that I love, with a lot
Mhm.
of changes in the vocals, crazy high pitch. And I usually tend to go on the lower side of my vocals because it's honestly
Mhm.
where I feel more relaxed and more
Mhm.
comfortable. Um, so for the mid tempos ones, I try to go on the lower ones, but I love going crazy because luckily I have a wide range and I can
Mhm.
go from very low to very high. And I was like, okay, I feel very inspired. I want to do a side project that is very inspired in this US power metal sound. I love Crimson Glory with all my soul. Transcendence is one of my iconic albums. I want to do this.
Mhm.
And back then, I was not even I didn't even have the name for bronze or anything.
Mhm.
Sid was not in the band, but I showed him the song, and he was like, "Why don't you want to include this on the project?" And I was like, "No,
Mhm.
it doesn't belong. It's too different." And he's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? It's perfect." And I was like, "Okay, okay." So I feel so amazing writing that type of material, letting me because it's always my essence, but I'm incorporating new elements that I was a bit forbidden myself, like more neoclassical details, more than usual,
Mhm.
and more crazy experimentation with vocals on those more aggressive and very raspy and crazy highs that I
Mhm.
was not implementing that much. And that is something that I would like to experiment. And also, we can see something on full that is kind of similar, but it's different with that neoclassical and that Spanish folklore that you were mentioning.
Mhm.
So that is something that I want to keep exploring for the future of my music. Yeah,
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited
let's see
about
how it
that.
goes because
I'm like
right now I feel
excited.
super. Yeah,
Yeah.
right
No,
now I
keep
feel
going.
like I want to do that type of elements in my music. Like I want to bring them, but let's see how it goes because you know no one can call inspiration.
Yeah, but that's really exciting to look forward to. I mean, we have to focus on where we are, but I'm still excited for like a little bit more neoclassical and more Spanish folklore.
But
Really
little
cool.
hints, because I don't really like to listen to Spanish folklore, but
Hmm.
there are some things that I have stuck in my brain, and they come, and it's the little flourish details on the vocals, and yeah, that is something that I am enjoying, and it makes me feel
Hmm.
very free and powerful and so
Yes.
yeah.
Cool. Well, and it's different. Like it's not something that everybody can do. They didn't grow up with it. They're not like familiar with the patterns
Hmm.
to be able to fluidly incorporate them into their work. And so you have a unique resource that like is a characteristic of the music even when you're not focused on making it one.
Hmm.
So I love to see you embracing that. That is exciting and different. So, to get into the songs, well, again, I like as we're talking about, the American audiences will notice that this is often you're not singing in a major pentatonic scale and you're not using a blues scale. It's more of
No.
that Fijian scale, Spanish Fijian. Um, and there's also a lot of moments of like 1960s vocal fry that's sort of similar to Hawaiian Vixen.
That's weird, because we are discussing lately a lot of the vocal fry thing, because I have noticed that it's very popular while talking, and I think that's a very American thing, right? Because I don't hear it that often in Europe. Maybe
Oh,
in Finland they talk like parkala, you know, but
oh, yeah, yeah. I mean kind of like just the sort of rasp or creak at the end of certain phrases that you're using sound like the early stuff that Jinx Dawson was doing. So it's
Mhm.
like this 1960s just like touch. It probably comes out of like, blues music or something, maybe some gospel, and
Well,
that's
I can
why.
tell you that in my case, it's not intentional. I'm not looking forward to that, because it's not really my influence,
Hmm,
or music that I listen to. I like Coven, but
uh-huh,
it's not a band that I have within my influences, and
mhm.
that era is not particular my thing. So I don't know where it comes from, but nice to know that it's some details there.
Yeah, it is probably just the natural, like, just the small breath that
Hmm.
becomes an articulation between phrases.
Okay.
And that's kind of like how you hear it in 60s music. And there are just a few moments of it in what you did on this album that I
We
thought
left,
added,
sorry for interrupting.
yeah,
We
no
left
problem.
some particular breathy moments,
Yeah,
because they had a little of attitude, and Cedric, who was
yeah,
recording me, he was like this and this.
that's
And
so
there's one
interesting.
moment, I think, in Chains and Shadows, and I don't know where else, but in Tyrant Spell, there is a cool moment, and after the first chorus, I think, in that verse that follows, there is like a breath. That
Mhm,
is a breath that I did, that is in verse. Like,
mhm.
he tweets around, and it's like, oh, this tongue's cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally. I heard it. And, we hear it a lot in American pop music. It's definitely utilized in a very, I think, excessive way. It's too much. It doesn't sound natural here. It sounds very forced in pop music in America. It's a big, yeah. But to hear it just a touch in like female metal vocals is interesting and fun because I don't think it's something that male vocalists can implement without
mhm.
sounding effeminate. And
Yeah,
so I kind of,
the only guy, yeah, the only guy that comes to my mind that has a very breathy element to the singing is Roy Khan from back then Camelot and Conception. And well, I think he's in Conception again. And but he sounds
mhm.
like
Yeah.
Jennifer Coolidge type of thing, like and it's more like, I don't know, trying to be sexy or something. I don't know. It's a bit weird. But that's the only singer that I can think about. But his vocal delivery in any case is fantastic. But in those particular cases, it's like weird.
All right, all right. So let's get into the song. So it opens with the Fool. The
Mhm.
Fool, really strong song right off the bat. I think I like the title a lot too. It immediately made me think of tarot cards. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the themes in that song?
Okay, it has nothing to do with tarot cards. It's about an actual fool person
Hmm.
that I had in my life. And oof. If you read the lyrics, you know that I don't dedicate any good words to that person because he doesn't
No,
deserve
it's like
any
a
good words.
revenge song.
It's like, please stop trying to be me. Find your own personality. Live your life. Leave me alone. I'm very happy with my life. Move on. Just try
Mhm.
to be you. And yeah, it's about a person that has no fucking life and no fucking personality, and was looking too much into me and trying to copy everything. And nah, yeah, it was sad and it was infuriating. And there were some events in my life that it really kicked like, can you stop, please?
Mm.
I want to live my fucking life and be happy, just, and I don't want to have you inside. So I used the songwriting as a therapy. I wrote the song in the middle of quarantine because it was a very locked moment. It was yeah. And I had another song that was dog shit from many years ago, and it had a cool intro, but the rest was awful. And I was doing a video chat with my brother, who's the bass player of the band, and I was like, "Should we try to raise something? Should we try to rescue something?" And I showed him this song, and he was like, "Not this song again, please. We are
Okay.
never going to do anything with this one. We need to move on." But suddenly, inspiration kicked, and he did an amazing progression of chords that I don't know if they made it to the song, but kicked everything. The
Mm.
inspiration went like that after that, and that intro was able to be rescued and the rest of the song was new.
Mm.
And I remember it was so organic. The That was one of the weirdest moments of composing for me because I usually use an instrument to create all the melodies,
Mhm.
but in that case I was humming everything on my phone, which is
Mm.
something that I don't do. And I
Mm.
found that very easy for that type of more neoclassical approach. I think
Mm.
when I'm humming it comes more natural,
Mhm.
but when I'm playing keyboard, it gets a different vibe, and when
Mm.
I'm playing guitar, it comes a different type of melody. So it's fun to experiment like that, and then I translated it to proper instruments.
Okay, so you kind of it sounds like lyrics are not usually your like how you start your songwriting. It sounds
It
like
depends.
okay. All the
It
time.
depends on the song. It was not like that, but in many cases I have a line, just a line, and the rest of the song gets born from that. Sometimes it's just a melody on guitar or piano. It depends because I'm very chaotic when I'm
Mhm.
composing. Sometimes I usually don't start by the chorus. That I can tell you. I
Mm.
usually start by the verses, or I just have the intro of the song on a melody or something. I have no plans.
Uh-huh. Okay, so time covers no lies. Something interesting because I'm going to be focused on the work that you did contributed as like a vocal artist. Um, and I think what's really interesting is that you didn't use a slide uh, in any part of this song, and
Mm,
instead it's like right to the note. I like it.
mm,
That's I think it must be a part of what gives you so much rhythm. Um, and you often use a legato articulation, like
mm,
continuing the words into like a smooth flow, but with
mm.
a lot of power. And always, it seems, unless you have an extremely well supported head voice, I think that you always sing in chest voice.
No,
No.
I use mixed register
Hmm.
because I'm a contralto. So my forte is on the lower notes. Then on the chest, I have either good or bad because I have two bridges,
Mm-hmm.
and the middle one I used to when I was breaking, I was like going from la 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 to Mickey Mouse voice.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to work very hard to blend the lower with the upper and then the head voice because otherwise I was something like fucking Mickey Mouse. Uh,
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well,
so
you
so
definitely
I'm
feel now.
belting like a motherfucker. I'm
Yeah.
ble-
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's the all of the power that you have in your upper register. it never sounds like a falsetto. It's like a very
No,
powerful head voice. It's
yeah,
yeah.
I try to belt because otherwise when I'm singing other type of styles like I do a lot of medieval inspired music.
Mhm.
And when I'm singing something more relaxed, then I'm not belting and it's like a more relaxed position. My voice sounds way softer on the upper register, like
Mm,
complete. It doesn't sound metal. Let's just say
yeah.
it sounds very soft, very fairy like. So it's completely different.
Yeah, and that actually
Not usable for Titan spell. Let's just say.
it that's a perfect flow into Chains and Shadows, which I think is the softest singing on the album. Again, excellent rhythmic phrasing on that. You just have a way of moving the song forward with your rhythm that I really appreciate. Maze of Haze,
Mhm.
some very interesting riffs. Kudos. Who wrote the riffs on Maze of Haze?
I had the basics of the song. But it was super unfinished, and Cedric added a lot of magic there. Yeah, he helped to bring magic to that song.
That's good. How did you guys start working together?
Oh, we've known each other since more than a decade because he was hosting a lyric contest for Blazing Stone, and I won. And
Aha.
since then, yeah, and since then it was A Traitor Among Us on No Sign of Glory, which now is available on Spotify and all streaming platforms. Finally. And since then we've been working a lot and he worked on I wanted him to work already on Will Revenge on the EP to mix and produce and everything, but it was not possible. And he came into place like officially on Gods of Death to help out, and he recorded stuff for the band and da da da. And yeah, we've been doing a lot of stuff together since ages.
Nice. Okay, so then Tale of Revenge, uh, whose idea was it to do that fun panning?
Yes, yes.
Oh, his. Okay.
In the times, in the terms of mixing in all of that tricky magic, is mostly him. I've been adding some ideas, but it's like I let you work,
Oh,
and you do yours. And I have some precise ideas sometimes that I like. Hey, here, na na da.
mhm.
But he is the professional, and he's fantastic. So I don't need to tell him things because he reads my mind, and it's like, go ahead.
That is so fortunate.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Lucky, lucky you.
Yeah, very lucky.
Anyway, so then next up, my favorite song, track 6, Jackals of the Sea. It's my
Oh.
favorite rhythm of all. I think it's going to be extremely fun to see live.
Oh, we
Um,
were thinking the other day because we are preparing some set list, and I usually tend to go with the songs that are more known to people.
mhm,
So our first gigs so far that we have booked are for the end of June and around summer. So it's going to be a while, a couple of months since the album has been released, but not enough for people to really absorb it. So
hmm,
I'm in a dilemma like should I start with the songs that having worked as a single like Realm of the Damned and
mhm,
Leather Warrior
mhm.
from the previous album, or should I go bananas and start with Jackals of the Sea because it's a fucking booster. And Cedric had
Yeah.
the idea like, hey, let's start with Jackals of the Sea. So let's see. I don't know yet.
Well, my vote is also Jackals of the Sea. I think it's got a lot of like bounce to it, and it's you've got the repetitious power metal chorus so that it's
Mhm.
easy for people to like learn the pattern while you're singing it the first time. And by
Yeah,
the end of the song, like an Iron Maiden song, they repeat the chorus enough that by the end of the song, you know what you're doing and you can start mouthing the words.
yeah.
As we talked about in a previous episode for the people that don't get our inside joke. Um, and okay, and then Samurai has a very cool fading ending. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things you did in Samurai vocally?
Oh, Samurai. I tried to force myself to go further with the vocal melody there because it was a bit different, and I wanted to add a little bit of variation. So it has a different thing almost in every ending of the verse,
Mhm.
and that was something that I was because I usually am very organic when I'm writing the melodies of the vocals, and it works, or
Mhm.
But in that one, I was like really squeezing my brain, like I need to do something here, so it's not
Mm.
always the same. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's what I can say. I had the chorus engraved in my brain, and
Mhm.
over a long period of time, I did not have the lyrics. I only knew Samurai of the Rising Sun. Oh, and that's it. But I didn't know how to tackle the lyrics. And I didn't want to go with something like, ha ha ha, samurais are from Japan, medieval ages, blah, blah. I didn't want to
Mhm.
go Alexander the Great by Iron Maiden type of lyrics because I like more another approach, let's just say.
Mhm.
And then I found inspiration to actually develop a story that I wanted to tell.
Mhm.
It's about samurais, but it's a real, not a real story. It's a storytelling, and
Mhm.
at least I have something interesting to tell. It's one samurai that rebels against the warlord because the warlord has no ethics at all. And samurais back in the day, well, back in the day because there are no samurais now. They had what people have in misconception is that they were candid souls because of the seven virtues. But the thing is that they were devoted to the warlord, so they had to fulfill their orders, whether they were good or bad. It didn't matter. The most important thing is that they had to respect the orders of the warlord. So in the case of the story, the warlord is asking, "Do this evil thing," and
Mhm.
the first samurai is like, "No, I'm not going to do that. It's not right." The only option is to be killed because
Mhm.
that's betray. And there's a second samurai that is his friend and colleague, and after killing the first warlord, is like, oh, you need to run away or you're going to get killed. So it's hunting his friend, and it's a sad
Mhm.
story.
Yeah, but it is different. I guess, what are some other like samurai songs? Of course, Katana by Enforcer, which the lyrics were actually written by Tomas Eriksson.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh,
And Tomas also wrote Black Sun's lyrics.
okay.
Um, but this seems neither here nor there at this point. But yeah, I wonder, I wish I had a better question. Now I'm also distracted because I also want to like get way too far into lyrics. Back to the
Oh
realm of
yeah,
the
we can
damned.
go, we can go back and forth with the lyrics. Don't worry, I can be talking here for.
I know, I know, I know. Okay, wait, but Realm of the Damned. Okay, so
Mhm.
this has a great backstory for the people that didn't
Yeah.
read the printed, well, online interview. You were living in a neighborhood, some crazy
Mm,
things happened.
yeah.
Twin brothers were killing each other in the staircase and dragging
We
their
don't
bloody
know.
bodies around.
Allegedly, that's the thing. Realm of the Dam is the type of song that if you don't read the lyrics, it's like, oh, Realm of the Dam, it sounds medieval, it sounds fantastic, it sounds sword and sorcery. I see a lot of comments out there like saying that my lyrics are about sword and sorcery, and this is the least topic that I can treat. But I wanted to use that type of title because
Mhm.
actually I didn't have any title that was good. It was called City Streets, but that sucks. So yeah, I came up with Realm of the Dam, and I was living in a very particular neighborhood in Madrid. Dramatic pause.
Yes, the tea now.
Is the tea time for tea? Back in the day, in the 80s, it was a neighborhood that was not connected to the city as a neighborhood. It was a village. And still, it managed to be a very special and powerful epicenter of heavy metal. And there was a lot of venues there, a lot of bars, and there was a huge live scene. And everyone was going there. It's not as famous as another neighborhood called Vallecas, for whatever reason, but it was streets and streets filled with metalheads. Nowadays, it's not that much, but when I was living there, there was still a couple of bars, which was in number a lot of compared to other places. It was a lot, but I was going with a bunch of people of all ages, all male,
Mhm.
which is relevant because they were very misogynist in this case.
Hmm.
And there were some that were old as fuck like in their 40s back then. which seems closer now.
I know.
But they were constantly remembering, oh, the golden era, and actually they were teenagers during the 90s, not the 80s. They
Uh-huh.
didn't live the golden era, but they were, oh, this venue, this other venue, oh, this one was stabbing the wheels of another one because he was, oh, cuckoo cuckoo, telling stories, romanticizing junkies because he was an
Mhm.
epicenter of drag in the 80s and in the 70s, and there were dead people in the streets. That was the case. And you could not wear an Iron Maiden t-shirt because metalheads were wearing like regular t-shirts, because otherwise you will get like, hey, the
Hmm.
money and the t-shirt. There were
Oh,
people
wow.
robbing in the streets. There were this
Hmm.
this type of gangs that were teenagers, and it sounds very apocalyptic and very, but it was
Yeah.
Spain in that era, especially that neighborhood. And these guys were constantly talking about that golden era and blah 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 and the glory and all these characters. And there's more anecdotes that I'm going to tell here. The first time that I attempted to contact with musicians, I was not living there. Um, I was invoked on that neighborhood, and I was invited to a rehearsal session with one drummer that he was in his 50s or whatever it was. And the guy was doing cocaine at 6 p.m.
Oh my
And
God.
he's like, he didn't remember his name. He was like, he was drooling all over me, like,
Ew.
and I was like, is this guy supposed to be my? No, no, no. I'm not going to. And no, no. And I
Yikes.
had some songs recorded, and one of the guys from that gang was like showing Valkyrie from the EP, and this guy was like, oh yeah, yeah, very good. And he's like, you cannot even talk.
Wow.
And it was like a family guy, He was not like he was this stereotypical junkie,
Hmm.
and he had two kids, and over time he did not remember the name of the kids or anything because the drugs and everything, it was so crazy.
Oh my
So they
God.
were idealizing this type of people
Oh,
that
gee.
during the 80s were doing a lot of drugs, and some were good people, some were awful people.
Hmm.
And these guys were like, yeah, the neighborhood life, do, oh, like the movie The Warriors. And it's like,
Right. Yeah.
okay, that's fun, that's fun.
Oh my God. That's
So
so
eventually I moved to that neighborhood,
great.
and I ended up living in a very, very awful apartment on a very awful building because I was poor as fuck.
Mm.
You know, I
Yeah.
had no money when I moved to Madrid. My only goal was to find musicians. I had no money. I had no job. I had anything. I was doing my best to get some money here and there, selling my craft, doing designs that were very badly paid,
Hmm.
some jobs here, little days, But I was doing my best because I wanted to go on with my band.
Hmm.
And they had this thing going on and on and on, like, there's no heavy metal women. There's no women in heavy metal because they turn into pop later or something. They forget that it's like, okay, whatever. We know a lot of women.
I can help them.
Yeah, but what they meant is that, uh, you know, until certain age, women were like, yeah, I'm a metalhead. But then they form a family and they forget, and it's like, are you fucking kidding me? All these people that you're praising, what the fuck are? No. But okay, okay.
Yeah. I mean, all these character
Misogynistic.
kids.
They were very all single and lonely and
Hmm.
incels.
Can't imagine why they'd be
Yeah,
single. They
and
sound
that was
great.
there was one type of comments that we're making when they first knew me, when the first day, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I have a heavy metal band. I was very passionate. I'm very passionate
Hmm.
about defending mine. And they were like, sure you do. What do you sound like? And I was like, Manowar, blah 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 blah, whatever. And they were like, sure, sure, sure. And then they heard the EP that was not published back then, another one that is not published, and they were like, okay, I need to shut up myself.
Oh, good.
Okay, so that was one thing, and but they kept saying things like, "You should write songs that are about the neighborhood life, not about fantasy and dragons." And it's like, you have not read the lyrics, first of all, and second
Yeah.
of all, what are you talking about? And they kept going and going, and it was
Wow.
harassing and
Hmm.
bullying. But they were friends, and it was like
Yikes.
this type of gaslighting shit that you don't realize until later, even if you don't participate. But it was, yeah.
I gotta be
So
honest. This is why I don't have any guy friends. I just don't want to hear
I
any
do.
of this.
I my best friends are guys. You know, but there's
Bravo.
no, they because it's not a problem that they are men. The problem is that there's some shitty people, but there's
True.
shitty people,
True.
men,
True.
women, or whatever, you know.
Yes.
And
Yes.
these were shitty people, no matter what. But they were very misogynistic and very pieces of shit.
Yeah.
And they were hanging around at my place one day. One of them was publishing some reissues of albums or whatever it was, and he was asking me to do booklets, and it was okay. I was doing it,
Mm-hmm.
and they were on my place that night, and there was constant noise like usual. I could not sleep any night because I had
Mm.
two junkie brothers on top of me.
Mm.
One of them was the good one, the other one was the fucking cuckoo evil one,
Oh,
constantly abusing his brother with words, with not words, with everything. And they were going especially crazy during the night because that's when they were doing drugs.
oh yeah, yeah.
They were on you know this I don't know what's the system metadone. I don't know what is it called in English. Um, but they were doing drugs anyway, and it was impossible to sleep. So I have awful insomnia anyway, so I was not able to sleep by any means.
Oh
And
man.
that night, it was the usual screaming, 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 and it was summer night, and we had the door open of that apartment because I didn't have air conditioner or anything. I was
Mm-hmm.
fucking poor as fuck, and that house, that apartment was shit, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and these guys, my friends, were like, "Oh, so hot in here," you know, and it's like, and you're talking about the neighborhood life. I don't know, whatever. And suddenly we heard a bomb, like the craziest bomb, and they stopped the screams. There was no noise. And suddenly the police comes, an ambulance comes, and we see the guy, one of the brothers, the good brother, being carried with his head open. And it's like, mm-hmm, okay.
Oh my god.
And some days after, there was just one brother left. And
Oh my god.
I
So.
was so tired the next day after that. Oh my,
Mhm.
because my friends left and it like nothing, you know, to their parents' houses, not doing anything, not working on it. They were living a very comfortable life, honestly.
Mhm.
But there's still, and they didn't blink an eye with that, or they didn't, you know. And I was there the next day, like I have not slept anything. I have to
Oh.
work my ass. I cannot pay the rent.
Mm.
I have to do something to go on with my band. I have to pay for stuff for cons. I cannot do anything. And I got so inspired that I wrote the lyrics
Mm.
in a very ironic perspective, like
Yeah.
this is everything that you're praising about the city streets, and it's bullshit. It's
Oh
bullshit,
man.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it turned out into Realm of the Dam. Oh, therapy.
That's the story. That's the
Yeah.
true story. I love
Mm.
it. Well, I love that the story is so dramatic and like it has like a full circle where they keep asking you to write about the neighborhood and it's like here is the
Yeah, yeah,
neighborhood.
it's like thank you so much. Now I'm going to write about the neighborhood for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you made it out alive and that you're living in a comfortable place now.
Yeah, it's way better. And less toxic people as well.
Yeah. And I'll see you there soon.
Mhm.
So that brings us to the last song,
Mm.
Tyrant's Spell, which people can listen to on all the
Yeah.
streaming platforms. And I think it is the clearest example in your trills of that scale that I keep bringing up, that sort of Spanish Moorish scale. And it also has a very acrobatic, vocally acrobatic ending to it, which is really exciting. And I'm glad that that's actually one of the songs that you chose to release as a single, because I
Mm.
think it's like a great example of your a culmination of all the different skills that we've been talking about throughout this episode.
In the first idea for a second single was Time Covers No Lies because it's very straightforward.
Hmm.
And I wanted to do a music video for, well, I want to do a music video for every song, but it's a bit hard being in two countries. And Time Covers No Lies was not finished, the video. We have filmed half of it, but my brother was not in that session. It's the same session that we use for Realm of the Dam.
Hmm.
So I wanted to include my brother, and we want to include some extra takes that we don't have.
Mm,
So we were thinking, okay, Tyrant Spell was another song that we wanted to do to release, and I have an artwork for a single, so let's go for it and let's use it as a single and lyric video and all of that. So yeah, I'm very glad it happened because it was one of the songs that I really wanted to offer. But the thing is that when you're making an album, is like, what should be the first one? You know, the one that can hook your loyal fans first, one that offers more of a heavy metal side, one that is more epic, because I have these two dualities that are merged, very merged together, but some songs are more epic and some songs are more traditional heavy metal, and
mhm.
so it's hard to choose sometimes. But I'm glad it was
Mm.
Harna Spell, the second single.
Yeah, super interesting. How like one chooses which songs to release as the
Hmm.
single. So I know you've got some shows coming up this summer, but I would say that it would be amazing one day to see you play with Velvet Viper. You
Oh, I would love that because
that would
Yuta
be
Volleyball is a goddess.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And you guys, you're definitely different, but I do think in
Yeah.
your timbre, you are a little bit
There's
similar.
some people that compares me with Yuta. I don't see it. I She has a very powerful lower range, and that's the
Yeah.
only thing that I could maybe relate to mine. But her style of singing is super different to mine.
Mm,
There's a lot of people that has been asking me to do Seth Jago and Velvet Viper covers,
mm,
but I honestly, when I try to sing it, the way she delivers the lines and the way she's writing the vocal lines is weird as fuck for me.
mm,
I cannot really process like Black Bone Song or
mhm.
Marilyn, or there's so many things that is like I really need to think how to sing this one. It
Oh my
doesn't come
gosh.
natural to me, but for her is perfect.
Yeah, I
She's
think
she's she's unique and her music is unique.
yeah, that's true. I really liked that latest music video. I think that the song was called Only One Viper. Did you get to see
I don't
that?
remember the title, but
Me
it's
neither.
so it's inspiring to see a woman like her on her age kicking asses and giving new music and being so hyped about it.
You
It's
know,
very nice.
yeah, because she is maybe one of the very best examples. I think she and Tina Turner are two of the best examples of how women's voices age very well for rock
But
and
to
metal.
be fair, Utah has always been amazing and powerful. But she keeps it. She sounds the same. She sounds so
Mhm.
powerful and so fierce, not like shaky old grandma. No,
Right, right.
she sounds amazing. Her
Yeah.
her vocal technique is. I am so envious because you get to see. Oh, she's so talented and oh, it's so it's
Have
very
you
inspiring.
have you heard some of her very early songs like Cadillac?
I don't remember the titles, but there's some singles of her alone, like singing pop stuff on the German
Mhm.
TV. I've heard those, and,
Yes.
and it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, and in those I think is stylistically similar to what Jinx was doing because they were contemporaries. Like
It's
Yuta was
around that time, so maybe it
yeah.
sounds like music from that era, so it has a bit of that
I'm gonna send
suggestion.
you like a couple of things that I think will make some of my comparisons makes more sense if they don't make sense yet. Um, but yeah, I think that that would be amazing for you two to play together. I could see a lot of crossover in those audiences. Um, so yeah. Well, that's kind of the end of the album. That's kind of the end of the questions. Is there anything that
Okay.
you want to let people know about the new album that we didn't cover?
I don't know because I've been chatting like a blah 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 machine, so I don't know what I said and why I didn't. I hope you all like the album and headbang like maniacs to it, and I hope we meet on the road.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right. Everybody go get your blue or your gold vinyl before they're gone.
there's not many left, so
Not
hurry
many
up.
left. Hurry up. You're gonna be worth $10,000. All right. Bye, Mina. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye.